The night my wife looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I love him, but I'm not leaving you," something inside me died without making a sound. Her voice was calm, almost rehearsed, as if she had spent weeks practicing those words in front of a mirror. We had been married for 12 years, built a comfortable life, and raised a daughter together. Yet, in a single sentence, she managed to erase everything I believed about loyalty. I expected guilt, fear, or even tears. Instead, she simply waited for my reaction, convinced I would beg her to stay. She had no idea that my silence was not surrender. It was the beginning of a decision that would change both our lives forever. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. The ticking clock in the kitchen sounded louder than ever, filling the unbearable silence between us. Finally, she sighed and folded her arms. "His name is Daniel," she admitted softly. "I didn't plan this. I never meant to fall in love with someone else. I asked the only question that mattered. Do you want a divorce?" She shook her head immediately. "No, I still care about you. I want our home, our family, our stability. I just love him too." The absurdity of her confession almost made me laugh. She wanted the excitement of another relationship while keeping the safety I had spent years building. I barely slept that night. Every memory of our marriage replayed in my head like scenes from a film that suddenly felt fake. I remembered our wedding vows, the tiny apartment where we started with almost nothing, and the promises we whispered when our daughter was born. I had worked overtime, sacrificed promotions that required traveling, and missed countless opportunities because I believed protecting my family mattered more than anything else. Somewhere along the way, she had quietly drifted toward another man while I was busy protecting the life we shared. The betrayal wasn't only that she loved someone else, it was that she expected me to quietly accept it as a new normal. The following evening, she approached me again with surprising confidence. "I know this sounds impossible," she said carefully, "but maybe we can make it work. I can see him occasionally, and nothing else has to change." I stared at her, searching for any sign that she understood how outrageous her proposal sounded. There was none. Instead of arguing, I calmly poured myself another cup of coffee and nodded. "Fine," I replied. Her eyes widened with relief before I finished my sentence. "But only under one condition." She smiled too quickly, assuming she had already won. She never asked herself why I agreed so easily. "My condition is simple," I said. "The day you choose another man while staying married to me, every financial privilege ends immediately." Her smile slowly disappeared. "The house goes up for sale. We separate our bank accounts. Every expense becomes 50-50. No more vacations I pay for. No more luxury lifestyle. No more using my income to support a relationship I'm not part of. You'll experience complete independence, exactly as you claim to want." She blinked several times, clearly expecting jealousy instead of logic. "You're punishing me," she whispered. I calmly shook my head. "No, I'm simply refusing to finance a life where I'm only your backup plan." She spent the next week pretending my condition didn't bother her. Daniel filled her phone with romantic messages while she confidently insisted that love had nothing to do with money. I didn't argue. Quietly, I contacted a lawyer, updated my financial accounts, canceled our shared luxury memberships, and placed our vacation property on the market. Everything I promised began happening exactly as I had described. I wasn't acting out of revenge. I was protecting my future. For the first time in years, every decision I made was based on self-respect instead of fear. Meanwhile, she still believed I would eventually soften and reverse everything before reality truly reached her. Reality arrived much faster than either of us expected. Daniel loved expensive restaurants, weekend trips, and spontaneous adventures. But suddenly my wife had to contribute equally to every bill. The comfortable savings account she relied on was no longer available, and the lifestyle she had taken for granted disappeared almost overnight. She started working extra hours, canceled salon appointments, and quietly sold designer handbags she once insisted she could never live without. Then one evening, I overheard a phone call that changed everything. Daniel wasn't comforting her. He was complaining that she had become too stressed, too busy, and not as fun anymore. That was the first moment I heard genuine panic in her voice. For the first time since her confession, I saw uncertainty replace confidence. She stopped dressing up for every meeting with Daniel and began coming home earlier than usual. The excitement that had once lit up her face had faded into exhaustion. One evening, she quietly sat across from me at the dining table and asked, "Do you think we can go back to how things were?" I looked at her for a long moment before answering. "We can never go back." I said honestly, "The moment you chose another man while expecting me to keep carrying our marriage, the life we had ended." She lowered her eyes, realizing that some choices permanently rewrite the future. Only a few days later, the illusion she had been living completely collapsed. Daniel called her while I was reading in the living room. She stepped outside to answer, but her raised voice carried through the open window. "What do you mean this isn't working anymore?" she demanded. A long silence followed before she whispered, "So that's it?" When she came back inside, her face was pale and tears streamed down her cheeks. Daniel had ended the relationship. The excitement he once promised had vanished the moment real-life responsibilities appeared. He hadn't wanted a committed partner. He had only wanted an escape from his own routine. That night, she broke down completely. She admitted that she had mistaken attention for love and excitement for happiness. "I thought I could keep both worlds," she confessed through tears. "I thought I could have passion with him and security with you." I listened quietly, but something inside me remained unmoved. Months earlier, those words might have shattered me. Now they only confirmed what I already knew. She hadn't fallen because of one mistake. She had fallen because she believed she could enjoy every benefit without accepting any consequence. Reality had simply forced her to pay the price she never imagined existed. The following weeks were filled with lawyers, paperwork, and difficult conversations with our families. I never yelled, insulted, or tried to humiliate her. There was no satisfaction in watching someone lose everything they had taken for granted. Instead, I focused on protecting my peace and creating stability for our daughter. Friends often asked why I seemed so calm. The answer was simple. Anger fades, but self-respect lasts. I had learned that forgiveness does not always require reconciliation, and kindness does not mean allowing someone to keep hurting you. Walking away with dignity was far more powerful than winning any argument. Several months later, the divorce was finalized. She moved into a modest apartment, while I remained focused on rebuilding a life that no longer revolved around betrayal. We successfully created a respectful co-parenting arrangement, making sure our daughter always felt loved by both of us. Occasionally, my ex-wife would send short messages saying she wished she could undo everything. I never responded with bitterness. Some regrets deserve silence more than words. Every decision we make shapes the road ahead, and no amount of apology can erase choices that were made with full understanding of their consequences. Looking back now, I realize the most painful sentence my wife ever spoke wasn't, "I love him." It was, "I'm not leaving you." She believed I would always remain the safe option, the dependable man waiting at home while she chased excitement somewhere else. She underestimated one thing. A person's patience has limits, and genuine love cannot survive where respect no longer exists. My single condition was never designed to destroy her life. It simply forced her to live with the reality of her own decisions. In the end, she didn't lose everything because of my condition. She lost everything because she believed actions could exist without consequences.